Hello everyone, welcome to PHTV Channel 4 in Palos Heights. I'm Sue Jankowski and we are with our Meet with Moraine program today. As we always do once a month, we get together with head of a department there and we bring you some really interesting things and some great opportunities for you to look into as far as like future careers for you or your spouse or your children or your grandchildren. And today we have something I think really interesting that you may be really interested in. I sure am interested in it. We have Dave O'Connor today. Hi Dave, thanks for coming in. Dave is the program coordinator of the Paralegal Studies program and an assistant professor in the Criminal Justice Department and a very experienced attorney as well. And I think the Paralegal Studies program is going to be so interesting to learn about today because all of us hear of a paralegal, we know some things about paralegals, but I think that whole paralegal thing, according to Dave, is really changing and you might want to find out about it as a future career. So Dave, you are the coordinator of the Moraine Valley program, but tell us a little, like, how did you get involved in this? I mean, you've been an attorney for years, and now you've kind of switched over to that teaching capacity and guidance to people young and old who want to join in this profession. What brought you to Moraine, and what's your experiences there?
Sure. Well, I've been practicing law for about 35 years, so that gives me kind of a solid foundation as far as a lot of the things that are going on in the legal world. I've been a part-time instructor at Moraine since the late 1980s, so I've had a wide amount of experience and seeing Moraine change through the years. In the last few years, I've started to segue away from my practice and into more full-time teaching. So consequently, over the last few years, I've become a full-time instructor at Moraine Valley in the criminal justice program. And then as a part of my responsibilities, I was also appointed recently to oversee the paralegal studies program.
Wow, so you bring a wealth of experience to that profession, and it's interesting because after years of practicing law and now to impart that knowledge into people who want to go into that path, that's great with that kind of experience. So I guess some people may not understand what a paralegal is. I think when we hear the word para and legal, sometimes people are thinking, maybe glorified secretary kind of thing, but that's all not really true and that's changed over time. Can you explain to us what that paralegal would be learning and doing?
Absolutely. It really has changed over the years. I think probably when I first started, if you were to say that, well, this is my paralegal, what you're really referring to is someone who might just be sitting in the front office, acting more as a receptionist, and really it has changed drastically over those years. There's a much greater expectation and professionalism that goes along with the duties and responsibilities of a paralegal today.
Okay, so I guess you have to be very qualified now and you have to learn outside job experience. It seems to me that a lot of times someone would be hired and then get their experience to become a paralegal maybe in that facility. But now maybe you need more qualifications to actually get a job as a paralegal.
Yeah, I think it'd be fair to say that as time goes on, there's a greater need and expectation for formal training, and that's where Moraine can kind of step in and help fill that role.
Okay, so someone comes in, they think they want to be a paralegal. Explain like the course they would take, how long would this take, and just what could the job future look like for them?
Well, there's a number of different components to that. First and foremost, I think probably everyone has to understand what a paralegal does. And a paralegal acts as a very, very important assistant to the attorney who's assigned to that particular case, that particular matter. And so consequently, the world of paralegal studies can really be different. It's varied. What a paralegal might do in one particular office might be completely different than what they might do in another office. So you really do need a broad understanding of what paralegals do and also have a solid foundation so that you can wear multiple hats depending upon what office you might be working for.
Okay, so when you're learning to become a paralegal, do you go through all of those like kind of disciplines about different types of law, what you would experience depending on what office you're working in? I mean, how does this work? So someone comes in and they said, I want to go with that study. So what would be a normal course grouping they would take?
Probably the easiest way to understand it is at MORAINE we sort of have two tracks. The first track is a certificate program. Where if in fact they satisfactorily complete 36 hours, they would qualify for a paralegal certificate. Now, the folks who generally go down that particular path are individuals that often are already employed in a law office. And they see this as an opportunity to perhaps move themselves up in that particular office, be a little bit better qualified, be of a greater need perhaps to the attorneys that are employed there. So that's the certificate program.
Okay.
It can usually be completed in about 3 semesters. Okay. The second track is a little bit more extensive, in which we actually offer an associate in applied science, an actual degree in paralegal studies. And if you satisfactorily complete 60 hours on that particular track, then you would qualify for that applied science degree. And as you can well imagine, the folks who go down that path, they'll be taking more general ed type classes, and then they will segue into more specific classes in the paralegal studies program.
Okay, so if you wanted to get a job quickly, you just thought a certificate will get me where I want to go right now, 3 semesters is all you need. But if you do the other, to get that associate's, you're just really going for 4 semesters,
Yes,
right?
right.
So really, just thinking, it seems, everybody has their own desires, but boy, it would seem like having a leg up on that, getting that degree for that would give you a lot more job opportunities.
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say. Certainly if you walk into a law office and you're applying for a paralegal type job, and you can say, I have a paralegal degree, it certainly goes a long way towards perhaps advancing your chances.
Yeah, that's what I think. Do people who become paralegals, do they look at the whole picture after they have a job for a while and think, you know what, I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to keep going. Does that happen very often?
Not often, but it has happened.
Okay.
I certainly know that some paralegals, that's kind of how they started. They thought, well, I'm not really a courtroom type person. I'm not really, I don't think I want to go down that path, but I like doing the background, the hard work, the factual research, the legal research. I like doing all that. And then they get into it and they come to the realization, hey, I could do that. And so some of them have, in fact, gone on to law school. I had one colleague who went from being a legal secretary to a paralegal, to law school, to an attorney, to becoming a judge, and then a supervising judge.
Oh my
so
gosh.
it goes to show that the world's a limit.
Wow. I mean, to start, kind of at the baseline and move
Right.
your way up. And I think that can happen to some people who realize, like you said, I can do this. Yeah. So they get to learn more and be more, and that's really great. We were talking before we started the show today about it seems in all the professions now we have the paras, and those are the assistants or whatever to whatever it is, even teachers and doctors and dentists and all of that. And so this kind of field where it's really the right arm of the professional, it seems to be expanding quite a bit. Do you find that you're getting more people in the paralegal program?
Well, I certainly think that the paraprofessionals has changed over the years. there is a greater expansion, and quite frankly, in most of these professions, everyone's looking for a way to perhaps save money. And is there a way that we can perhaps do something and be more economically efficient in our specific law office or medical office or dental office? Is there a way to do that? Well, the paraprofessionals are one avenue for that. Mm-hmm. So suddenly some tasks or responsibilities that might have only been performed by the attorney is now being performed by the paralegal.
And is that, when I say this, I don't mean any, I'm not questioning exactly, but I kind of am. Is that paraprofessional in, like, you can only speak for this field in particular, but I'm wondering if all fields, do they have the qualifications to give those background, that technical information or whatever, to the professional who then has to work with that? I mean, I'm just wondering, how long does it take to be really skilled at this so you know what your attorney or your doctor or whatever would like? Is that kind of an issue? Is that like an experiential thing?
It is to some degree. Certainly, the attorney would always appreciate somebody who's well versed in the areas that they're practicing in. So if somebody comes in with a solid office administration background and a solid computer background, and they already know something about a particular area of practice, well, that certainly starts them off on the right foot.
Right.
After that, like all jobs, there's on-the-job training. So that particular individuals kind of learn what's important, what might not be, what the attorney needs, what the attorney doesn't. And consequently, a good paralegal learns how to fill that role and really assist the attorney. And again, not only help the attorney in a litigation context, but also perhaps save that firm money.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Is there like some sort of hands-on internship experience that the paralegal education gives the people?
Absolutely. Whether or not it's the certificate or the degree program, one of the mandates is that they participate, usually in the last semester, and participate in an internship. So we don't want our paralegals leaving this formal education part of their life unless they truly have encountered the issues and the problems and the struggles and the things that typically occur in a law office setting. We want that. We want them to get a feel for that. And of course, get guidance and learn from attorneys so they get a better sense as to how a law office actually functions on a day-to-day basis.
I would think that would be really a very important component, because if you've never been in that kind of situation, having that experience to think, well, this is what I'm going to be into, and make a decision that, is this the job for me, I guess, is really important. So with the education part of it at Moraine Valley, who is the faculty and what do they bring to the students?
We have a kind of a varied faculty. We have a former paralegal as a part of our faculty. We also have a number of attorneys. So these are attorneys who've been actually out there and practicing in a variety of different fields, and so they would be able to kind of pass on, here's what the book says. Here is reality.
Right, exactly.
And so everybody has to understand that not all things are learned in a book, and so consequently, if you have experienced faculty, they can pass that reality on to you.
Yeah, I think that's so important. There's the real and the practical, like what is really happening. So what kinds of courses would they be taking?
It depends again on whether they're seeking the certificate or the degree.
So those don't intertwine. You're like in the certificate.
Well, no. Well, you're usually seeking one or the other.
Okay.
Now, some of the classes that you might take in either track may overlap.
Okay.
But you're usually seeking one or the other. if in fact, at least as far as the paralegal program, they could be taking introduction to paralegal, just in getting your feet wet, like most 101 courses, trying to give you a sense as to what a paralegal does, what they're responsible for. They then might move on to law office administration, so they have a better sense as to how an office actually is run. They then may go into research and writing for the paralegal. In other words, dependent upon where you're employed, you may very well be tasked with conducting legal research on a particular issue. Once you've done that research, you better know how to write it down. Mm-hmm. So you got to be able to be, your communication skills have to be strong. You have to learn how to write correctly in solid summation form, so an attorney can relatively quickly move through and see what the issues are, what the paralegal has found, and that helps direct the attorney.
I would think accuracy would be really important.
Absolutely.
So kind of honing those skills. And I know sometimes coming out of school, that can be a weak point for some students, that their writing skills maybe aren't great. So they have to, I'm sure, kind of be schooled in that ability to write and sum up things so that makes sense.
Well, I think that we, in a much broader scope, on a macro level, I think that we as a society have kind of moved away from formal communications, and so consequently, a lot of things are being communicated by emails and texts, and by way of Twitter and other social media outlets, and so consequently, sometimes the young people write that way. And it takes myself and my colleagues a while to kind of break that habit.
You have to write the word.
Yeah. So communication is very important, whether it's oral communication or written communication, but it is critical in the legal field.
Yeah. So I would think like a component of that. I'm just as a former teacher, I can see where that skill set has kind of, like you said, kind of gone by the wayside, and that's so important in some jobs that you be able to do that. So that must be a challenging part of this too, to get people to write exactly how they need to with this.
Right, and they usually get there, but it takes some breaking down and starting from the beginning at times. Because it's been so ubiquitous as far as their life. That's how they grew up.
Right.
That we communicate by way of texting, and you begin to realize that you can't start utilizing abbreviations in a formal memo.
No.
So we have to kind of pull them back, break it down, and once we do, they get it.
Okay. When someone thinks about, is this something for me? Is there a way to, I don't know, take a test or have an interview, or this is a very specific career. It's it's not like I'm getting an associate degree in general things. This is something you're deciding to do. Is there some kind of guidance that is given, or you're just suggesting take a couple classes and see what you think?
There's certainly no harm in taking a couple classes to see if this seems like a good fit for you. But one of the things I always stress in our criminal justice program or the paralegal program is I try to get across to young students, particularly those coming right out of high school, try to find something you think you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. And everybody might have different passions, different interests, but start going down that path to see if after a little formal education, do I still have that passion? Right. Because as we all know, pretty soon, you're in a particular profession for 10, 20, 30 years, you better still love it,
Exactly.
because that's a long time to be miserable if you don't.
Is. You're so right.
Yeah,
that is something that, and it's hard for young people. You're 17, you're 18, 19 years old, you're thinking this is maybe my life's work, I don't know, and to make that kind of commitment and decision. I think though nowadays, people in general, young people particularly, switch careers, as they go along, easier than we used to switch careers. You kind of picked a career and you kind of stuck with it forever. And
which I think is kind of a mistake. I mean, I have seen, I've worked with colleagues who are miserable in their profession. That's no way to go through life.
It is not, no.
You know, so you certainly don't want to be miserable. You want to pick something that you have a passion about, that you do love, and everybody is different. If in fact they want to go down this road, hopefully they have certain skill sets. If they realize, hey, I don't know that I would want to go to law school, I don't know if I'd want to spend that kind of time, I don't know that I want to do that in a courtroom, but I love the law. I love learning about it and helping out and that sort of thing. Well, paralegal might be the perfect opportunity and entree into that. But you do have to have certain skills in order to do well.
Do you find, we talked about young people, are any older people looking for a second career and they come in and think, I could do this?
Yeah, there are certainly some folks who, again, may have always had that somewhat passion in their background. It's something that they always liked or wanted to do, but life took them on a different path. They're starting to switch gears, so that is a part of some of the folks that we see. The other individuals are ones who are already out there. As I said, they're already perhaps working for a law firm or a governmental office, but they never had the formal training. And they might see other people getting jumped ahead of them simply because they have the degree, they have the training, and they just never got that formal training. So some of those folks are entering our program as well.
That sounds like a very good possibility for a lot of people. Dave, before we go, I do want to know, what should people do who are interested in the program? I know that classes probably for this semester are already starting.
Starting Monday.
Yeah, so it might be a little late in the game for this semester, but they could get started.
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
You'd be surprised at how many folks actually wait till the last second to sign up.
Oh, yeah. I meant to do that.
Right. So they can still sign up for this semester.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, Saturday is Super Registration Day that MORAINE is sponsoring. So it's for anybody who hasn't already registered. They have the opportunity to talk with a variety of different offices, all in one location. So that's this coming Saturday.
But that's this Saturday, the date, August?
Would be the 20th, I guess it would be. But there are even some folks that really wait to the last minute and they register the first week. I wouldn't recommend that. You're already starting a little bit behind, but they can go on and our website, www.morainevalley.edu, and they can get some information not only about the paralegal program, but also about all the different programs that are offered at MORAINE, and they can look into registration right out of the box.
Okay, so there's opportunities for them right now.
There certainly are.
Okay, and they can get in this program, be done in 3 semesters, and have a nice career.
They can. And I probably should mention, as far as that career goes, there is a growth right now with respect to paralegals. Certainly, if you went down any pathway today, you'd want to know, are there going to be jobs over the course of the next 10 years? And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this is actually a growing field. They expect nationally paralegals to expand up to 12%, and Illinois happens to be one of the states with the most employed paralegals, and the expectation is that they're going to increase 14%.
Wow.
So anytime you get into double digits as far as growth goes, that's a good thing to see.
That's a good thing. So you're likely to get a job at the end of this because there's a need and it's an expanding career. That is really good news. And the thing is, too, I want to just tell the viewers again, we always emphasize, Moraine Valley is a great value. So you're getting your education for a price that's affordable. And then you get a career that you can, have a nice livelihood.
Well, and it's all of that. And one of the things I always point out that I don't think is most people kind of recognize the most is we may send our kids off to 4-year universities. Hopefully they're going to get a great education wherever they end up. But one of the things Moraine offers locally at a great price, like you said, is that oftentimes it's being taught by practitioners, people who actually have been out there, done it, lived a life, did a career, and those are going to be your instructors. You can go to a very, very prestigious four-year university and be taught by some PhDs, very well credentialed, but haven't done the job a day in their life.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes is lost and not really noted and understood by the public.
Right. And the person teaching you who's done it has that great practical experience rather than just ideas or philosophies about something. So you're 100% right on that. And the thing is, too, I mean, we've been doing our Meet with Maureen program for a while, and I have found, and I hope our viewers do too, that the people like you who come in, you know, it's very welcoming. It's very, there's a lot of help. If you need help as a student there, I think there's always an avenue to get the help. They can talk to somebody. Hey, I'm struggling with this class or whatever. Or I need to talk to my teacher, professor, whatever. I feel like there's really an open door policy there.
Absolutely. We not only have advisors who are standing by the waiting in the wings to assist any students. We also have disability services for a certain population of students. But I also want to stress the instructors, in my humble opinion, are more than happy to try to assist and keep a student on track and make sure they succeed. We all want to see these students succeed and prepare for the next stage in their life.
And that's the great thing. Like, the faculty really cares. And, you know, that's a really nice thing in this time of the world, that somebody really cares about you. And as a student, you're knowing that you're just not on your own, that somebody really cares and you're going to get some great practical experience. Well, Dave, before we go, is there anything else? We don't want to miss anything.
No, I think we kind of covered a lot of ground in a short period of time. If there's anything that our program can do, people can certainly email us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions they might have.
If they email you, do they just go to the webpage and then kind of get to that Justice Department?
You can get on the front page, and then you can put in a search for paralegal studies, and that'll bring them to the paralegal page.
Okay.
And they'll get some overview there, and also some contact information as well.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll be happy to help out any way we can.
Okay, great. Well, it's been great talking to you today.
Likewise.
And I hope that you go out there and explore, if not becoming a paralegal, something, other classes, courses that we've talked about in the past. It's a great opportunity for you to go to Moraine Valley Community College. If you don't remember where it is, it's in Palos Hills. It's really close by. Thanks for watching us today. We'll see you next month on Meet with Moraine. Bye-bye.